Imagine driving up to your slice of heaven. A quiet 5-acre plot in rural Montana, only to find your gate mangled like it lost a fight with a bulldozer. That's how it started for me, Alex Rivera, the guy everyone whispered about as the reclusive weirdo who dared to live off the grid. But on that crisp winter morning, as my truck tires crunched over the frosted gravel, I wasn't thinking about the rumors. I was staring at an empty void where my $38,000 worth of hand-picked lodgepole pine beams should have been, vanished like they'd been beamed up by aliens with a lumber fetish. The pines lining the property stood tall and indifferent, as if they'd witnessed the whole thing but couldn't be bothered to testify. I'd bought this land 3 years back, after ditching the corporate grind in Seattle, dreaming of a cabin where I could finally breathe without some boss breathing down my neck. No HOA breathing down my neck either, or so I thought. My place was fully fenced, private, not tangled in any neighborhood web. I'd installed cameras myself, wired them to a solar battery because, hey, off-grid means self-reliant. But there I was, kneeling in the dirt, tracing deep ruts from heavy tires, definitely not some joyriding kids. This was pro-level theft. The camera wires, sliced clean, dangling like defeated snakes. I didn't yell or curse. I just felt this cold knot twist in my gut, the kind that whispers, "This isn't random." I'd spent months sketching that cabin, porch overlooking the creek, beams sturdy enough to hold a lifetime of solitude. Gone. Poof. And in their place, a mocking emptiness that screamed someone had balls big enough to invade my world. I kept my cool, dialed the sheriff's office from the truck. "Yeah, this is Alex Rivera on County Road 47. Came back from a supply run to find my gate busted, cameras cut, and 30 pressure-treated logs swiped. Worth about 38 grand. The dispatcher sounded bored, like lumber theft was just another Tuesday. "We'll send someone out." 2 hours later, Deputy Ellis rolls up in his cruiser. Young guy with a mustache that looked like it was trying too hard. He strolled around, snapping pics on his phone, jotting notes. "Looks like heavy equipment. We'll check traffic cams." I snorted softly. "Nearest one's 5 miles out. On the highway." He nodded, eyes glazing over. "Yeah, well, we'll see." As he drove off, I sat there in the fading light, engine off, wondering what kind of lowlife steals building materials. Not junkies too organized. Not kids too heavy. This smelled like entitlement, the kind wrapped in rules and righteousness. For days of stewing, and I'd gathered my arsenal. Receipts from Timber Ridge Supply in Kalispell, GPS-tracked delivery logs showing the truck's path straight to my gate, state logging permits, even drone shots from the day after arrival, beams stacked neat as a Tetris win. Everything legit, time-stamped, ironclad. I wasn't the hothead the rumors painted. I'd learned patience the hard way, after years of office politics where speaking up got you labeled difficult. So I observed, planned. Then the letter arrived. Plain envelope, no return, but that embossed seal, Willow Creek Estates HOA, 2 miles down the valley, where McMansions huddled around fake ponds and everyone mowed their lawns in sync. I'd never joined, never signed their covenants. My land was outside their bubble. But the letter? Oh, it was a masterpiece of delusion. "Dear Mr. Rivera, your unauthorized storage of timber harvested from the protected ridgeline adjacent to Willow Creek Estates has been noted. Said materials have been reclaimed for ecological preservation and community enhancement. Further violations may result in fines." I stared at it, blinking. Then I chuckled, a dark, bitter sound that echoed in the empty truck. They weren't just thieves. They were gaslighters, flipping the script like I was the crook. I punched the dashboard once, splitting a knuckle, blood smearing the vinyl. Fury simmered, but I bottled it. Patience, Alex. Let them dig deeper. Word got around fast in these parts. Small-town grapevine loves a scandal. A few days post-letter, I heard about the HOA's quarterly meeting at their shiny community hall. Figured if they were cocky enough to commit fraud on paper, they'd parade it live. So I showed up, jeans caked in mud, flannel shirt smelling of pine sap. The place was pristine, fluorescent lights buzzing over rows of folding chairs, air thick with coffee and condescension. Heads swiveled as I entered, whispers rippling like I'd crashed a cult ritual. Up front, Evelyn Evie Hargrove, HOA president, late 50s, bob haircut sharper than her tongue, clad in a pastel blazer that screamed, "I chair committees," pearls, of course armor for the self-righteous. She tapped the mic, smile plastered like bad Botox. "Good evening, neighbors. Before we dive into agenda items, let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say, the timber dispute involving our external guest, Mr. Rivera." She nodded at me like I was a naughty child. I leaned against the back wall, arms folded, as she clicked through slides. Aerial shots of some wooded hill, not mine. Then, bam, my beams, now propping up a half-finished gazebo in their park. "These logs," she intoned, voice dripping with faux concern, "were illicitly sourced from our preserved greenbelt. Mr. Rivera's lot served as a temporary hideout until our eco-task force intervened for the greater good." The room murmured approval, a few nods from the yes-men. My jaw tightened, but I waited. Then I stepped forward, voice steady. "So, Evie, you're claiming I poached your trees, stashed them on my own property, and you retrieved them by smashing my gate." She blinked, smile faltering just a hair. "Boundaries can be nuanced, Mr. Rivera. Our bylaws empower us to protect communal assets from exploitation." I pulled out my folder, slapping documents on the table one by one, thud. Thud like dropping truth bombs. Invoice, paid in full. GPS logs, direct delivery. Permits, state approved. "These aren't your trees. They're mine. You trespassed, stole, and now you're building with them." The room shifted uncomfortably. Evie waved a hand. "We'll review these claims. In the interim, the materials stay secured." A timid guy in row one piped up, "But Evie, isn't that gazebo already using the wood for the roof?" Her glare could curdle milk. "Irrelevant, Harold. Next item. That slip? Gold." It wasn't bungling. It was a blatant cover. I walked out, adrenaline buzzing. Outside, an old-timer in a faded cap caught my arm. Frank, a former resident who'd fled the HOA's grip. "Kid, they've been at this forever, redrawing maps, slapping liens, bullying folks into submission. Most cave, 'cause fighting costs more than folding." I met his eye. "Anyone ever win?" He grinned, tobacco-stained. "Rarely, but when they do, it's fireworks. You got that quiet fire. Strap in." Back on my lot that night, wind howling like a banshee, I traced the gravel scars again. "You picked the wrong recluse," I muttered. The rumors about me? Let 'em fly. I'd been called worse, eccentric, antisocial. But now, game on. Momentum kicked in the next dawn. I stormed the sheriff's office in Bozeman, dumping my evidence pile on Detective Lisa Moreno's desk. Docs. Photos. The HOA's confession letter. She scanned it, whistling low. They straight up admitted to reclaiming your stuff. That's not a neighbor spat. That's felony territory. I nodded. Press charges. She smirked. Consider it done. Leaving there, I felt the tide shift, no more victim vibes. Next stop, lawyer. Sarah Klein, a no-nonsense property shark I'd researched online. She flipped through my file over coffee, eyes lighting up. They didn't just take. They fabricated a whole eco-fairy tale. This is trespass, theft by conversion, fraud, jackpot. By afternoon, she'd slapped a lawsuit on the HOA and Evie personally. Damages, injunction to halt gazebo work. But I played smarter, posted anonymously on Reddit's r/HOA hell and local forums. HOA raids private land, steals $38,000 lumber, claims it's green, with proof, screenshots of receipts, maps showing my land's isolation. It exploded, comments pouring in. Typical Karen power trip. Sue him into oblivion. A blogger picked it up. Montana man battles HOA over stolen dream. Receipts don't lie. The sheriff called back quick. Moreno had dug up the HOA's violation notice. A joke PDF. No official stamps. Just Evie's scrawl claiming my logs matched their ridge. Post-dated BS, I said. She agreed. And get this, Evie's nephew runs the construction crew on that gazebo. Nepotism cherry on top. That night, Sarah rang. They're rushing the build before the injunction lands. Need eyes on site. I borrowed a buddy's SUV, parked discreetly near Willow Creek. My pal Mia, a drone hobbyist, flew hers over, snapped crystal pics of my beams, serial numbers peeking through hasty paint jobs. Forwarded to Sarah, who rushed it to court. Boom. Emergency stop work order. Interphase expert. I hired botanist Earl Higgins, grizzled vet with a PhD and zero tolerance for nonsense. He tromped my site, sampling soil, scanning indents. Loader tracks match gazebo equipment. And their protected ridge? Douglas fir dominant. Your lodgepoles? High-altitude specials. Apples and orangutans. His report, jury proof. Sarah subpoenaed delivery GPS, flawless route, no HOA detours. Then Frank reappeared, slipping me a USB. Board insiders done with Evie's reign. Don't quote me. Inside, HOA emails. Evie's gems like, can't have that outsider mocking our standards with his shack. Redirect those logs to our project. It'll teach him conformity. Sarah hooped. Conspiracy upgrade. Criminal now. Sheriff moved fast. Raid on the gazebo. Beams inventoried. My red marks still there. Like fingerprints. Prosecutor piled on. Fraud. Theft. Abuse of power. Local rag screamed. HOA heist exposed. President's E. coli crumbles. Evie spun PR. I safeguarded our environment in earnest. But those emails? Damning. Trial day. Courtroom buzzed like a hive. Evie perched defensively. Pearls gleaming. Lawyers flanking. Sarah opened fire. Exhibits galore. Purchases. Footage. Messages. Reading Evie's line. Redirect those logs. It'll teach him conformity. Gasps echoed. Defense stammered. Documents could be faked. Disputes are messy. Judge barked. Evidence your timbers theirs? Witnesses? Data? Crickets. Then this is grand larceny. Not good faith. Moreno testified. Timeline nailed Evie pre-planning the theft. Verdict? Swift. Evie, 5 years prison. Parole after 3. Lifetime HOA ban. Nephew's firm. $150,000 fine. License yanked. HOA? Dissolved? Poof. Like their fake authority. Neighborhood side relief. Years of petty tyranny evaporated. I reordered lumber. Skipped the tainted stuff. Let the gazebo rot as a relic of hubris. Hired guards. Got a mutt named Justice. Built slow. Neighbors, real ones, pitched in tools. Food. Stories. Cabin rose solid. House warming. Bonfire laughs. No rules. Frank toasted. To boundaries. Peace settled. They thought they'd crush the weirdo. Instead, exposed their farce. But tell me, in a world of twisted rules, was Evie the villain, or just a product of the system we all enable? True or false? Drop your take below.